Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 9 of Blood on the Tamesis, a Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle set in Oxfordshire, England 2012. With me tonight.
Philip returning as Cyber Shore of Clan Bruya.
Bex still here as Velvet of Clan Ventry.
And a very tired Carlos playing Theodore Penn from Clan La Sombra. I did have breakfast though.
So, we are about to get into our penultimate episode of Blood on the Tamesis. But before we do, there are a couple of things to resolve from episode 8. So we did, for once, remember to do our remorse checks. So well done us. And Silas maintained his humanity. However, there was a thing which I meant to raise, which I forgot to raise, which is that because of what happened with Helena and because the coterie affected the politics of the city enough that the kindred kind of united to defend the traditions of the city and forced Helena to go through them, that is a step towards the ambitions of Theodore and Silas, who are both about stabilizing Oxfordshire and keeping it old school. Now, in the case of Silas, this means he will heal 1 point of aggravated willpower damage. In the case of Theodore, who has no aggravated willpower damage, we have a house rule for this situation. Because I've always felt it's a little bit unfair, given how hard it is to meet your ambitions, that if you meet them and you don't have any damage, you don't get anything for it. So the way that I rule this is, you still have that kind of feeling of being on a high from moving towards your ambition. And it means that the first aggravated point of willpower damage you take is converted to superficial.
I already had that. So would that apply to the second aggravated or just the first?
That is a controversial question. Let us hope you do not take more than one aggravated point of willpower.
I'll bring it up again.
Because if you do, I will be forced to answer it and think about it. For now, let's kick that down the road and see what happens.
Cool.
My feeling would be there's a limited number of times you can stack it, or at least there'd probably be a point at which that would wear off. But I just kind of like the idea that if I've had a really amazing life experience, which is sadly a rare occurrence, but if I have had one, that gives me a certain amount of kind of emotional shielding for then when bad things happen, because I can weigh up. You know, I'm on a high, so they don't hit me as hard when they come along, and I kind of want to reflect that in the game. Mm-hmm. So we ended in a somewhat unusual court in the south of Oxfordshire in Sir Holder's domain. It was very much a symbolic thing to suggest that Helena was not arriving as a citizen, but she was arriving as a petitioner, and was getting her chance to earn the Herald's coin, which would then enable her to get into a position to swear her oath. And Helena was given the challenge of having to bring the head of the Bowman back to this court. Not immediately this evening, because obviously this is the evening of the court, but it would be expected that she would begin her trial the next night. Because she is not a citizen of Oxfordshire, nor even a petitioner at this stage, not fully recognised because she's not yet got her coin, she is not permitted to stay within that court, and neither are the other kindred of Reading, because they are not currently here as guests. They were kind of here as her entourage. So they will leave, and obviously the court is not pretending to stay around that long. But if any of you wish to speak to anyone from Oxfordshire's court, now is your time to do so. Okay, so I see a hand raised from Theodore and no other hands raised at the moment. Oh, and Velvet. Okay. So, Theodore, who do you want to speak to?
I would like to talk to Rupert.
Okay. So Rupert is in residence, and he is easy to find. He's not hiding at all. So, yes, you can approach him.
Evening, Rupert.
Good evening, Theodore.
I hope this night finds you well.
Yes, it does indeed. It's all been frightfully interesting, don't you think?
Oh, indeed. It's good to see all kindred of Oxfordshire united again.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely couldn't agree. Good to see showing those Reading folk what's what. Marvelous stuff.
Absolutely.
And very exciting for you, the Southern Veem, going to see the action, as it were.
Yeah. I would like to be prepared for that, however. And I would like to be ready for it. I need, as you said, to be potentially in front row center towards the action. And I wouldn't want to fail at my duties to Oxfordshire.
Oh, no, heaven forbid.
So I have...
How can I help you?
Well, I would ask your help. I will be in need of blood, a very specific type of blood that would allow me to fulfill my duties without any distraction of any kind. You know me, I like to keep my cool, as they say, level-headed.
It's very hard to concentrate on an empty stomach, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
He'll lean in a little closer to you and lower his voice a bit and say, "Now, what precisely is your taste for this evening?"
It is an odd one. I know you do deal with certain flavors and particular emotions, if you will, like the vintage. This is going to be a
yes. A challenge, marvelous. I do consider myself something of a connoisseur.
Well, I would like to have blood that is devoid of any such emotions and resonance. As I said, I want nothing, not even the blood I had just ingested, to get in the way of my alertness and my emotions. I need to be completely detached.
That is an unusual. You're something of an odd fish asking. Most people want something more, shall we say, thrilling. But I think probably we could arrange something, and you need this for tomorrow, I assume.
As soon as possible, the moment I leave for Elena, and I want to be going on a full belly. This is not a request I do out of taste. It's not something I desire. It's just the type of blood that I think needs to come for me to fulfill my duty.
No, quite very laudable that you want to put your own needs aside to best serve the city. Much appreciated, I'm sure. That's the right attitude. Well, as you say, it is a rather odd request, but I will see what I can do.
This will be for the betterment of Oxfordshire.
Oh, I'm quite sure it is. Which is why I won't, shall we say, I will be lenient on the cost of such a thing.
And I will have a very good memory of your leniency.
Ha! I'm sure you will. Yes, well, I had best get to work. Where would you like to sample this blood in the future?
Well, if it's possible, if you find it tonight, by the end of the night, so I know if it's the right type.
Of course.
If not, tomorrow evening. I understand that is an odd request, but any blood that will completely satiate me is appreciated. This one in particular is required.
Now I don't wish to pry too much, but are there any other, shall we say, requirements you might have beyond the taste of the blood to ensure that you will fully be able to enjoy it?
Yes.
Because I can be very discreet, I promise you.
It has to come from someone who's a survivor, someone who has seen the worst. Ex-military, ex-cops, anyone, male or female, makes no distinction. Survivors of abuse. People who have made it through.
Yes, people of a certain fortitude,
Metal.
morally speaking.
Yes. Even those who are broken.
Yeah, so I'll see what I can do, and I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Lovely to speak to you as always, and I will be very interested to hear about your exploits.
Oh, I'll make sure to
just how it went.
To give you a personal recount of them.
Oh, marvelous, marvelous.
Have a good evening.
So that will end your kind of conversation with Rupert, and he will head off to do that.
Excellent.
Velvet, who did you want to speak to?
I need to speak to Adam, but actually, I'd rather this wasn't at the court. But presumably, he's at the court, so I can get him, and we can.
I mean, he is at the court. He is at the court, but he's going back to yours anyway, so it's
fine. Okay.
Easy for you to talk
Yeah. That's fine. So I don't know.
Are you just going to talk to him when you get kind of back?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to pause that, and there's anything anyone else wants to do at the court.
Well, is there anything anyone else wants to do at the court? Cool. So what will become apparent to you all is that whilst Helena is going to begin her trial tomorrow, those who wish to will be invited to wait at Sir Holder's domain, such that they can be together when she either returns or doesn't return successfully. Now, of course, it's not necessarily a thing where she has to complete it within one night. It might be it takes her weeks, months, years, potentially. But until she returns, she cannot take up her position. And you will kind of know that there is a sort of excitement often in the city when something like this comes up, particularly amongst the older kindred, where they will kind of, the part of the enjoyment is getting together and speculating about what might happen and potentially laying bets and other things like that. So there'll be a sort of casual, extended court that is going to be at Sir Holder's, at least for the initial few nights. And then if it looks like it's going to take longer, things will probably disperse. So you will all return to the Haven. And Velvet, you will get a chance to speak to Adam.
Okay. And then I'll do this somewhere like our bedroom or somewhere.
Yeah, no problem.
So out of interest, how is he? Because he's heard this. Yeah, he's heard this announcement also. So
he looks very thoughtful.
Okay.
And he will say to you, "How are you feeling about your duty?"
It's difficult to distill it out, into separate emotions. I'm angry, but I'm also terrified. This guy, whoever he is, I don't know anything about him, but I know that the prince is a guy who can jump over buildings. So if he couldn't deal with this, they intend for Helena to die. And I can't shake the feeling that that is absolutely what could happen to all of us. And it puts me in mind of a conversation that I had with Brick. They're all like this, Adam. They're all they have us here to do things for them, to go fetch their food and to go do the things they don't want to do, and now to go fight their battles. We don't have any agency in this world. None. And that is not the life that I want for us.
What are you suggesting?
I'm not suggesting anything right now. I mean, there's nothing I can do about this. I have to go. And But,
Well,
but
could you try and take, I don't know, be the driver or take some duty that won't put you in any harm's way?
I don't know if such a thing exists. But even if it does, Theodore, he would put himself at risk for me. He would do that. He has done that many times. And so would Silas. So it doesn't seem right, Adam, to just leave them to it. I have to try and do this for nothing else. But you see, that's what they have over you, right? They have this oath, and they have, they dress it all up in things that make it look like it's so valuable to you, but it's not valuable, Adam. Not to us. It's only valuable to them. I was thinking about it after they made the announcement, and I realized, this is why I feel the way I do about what happens when we share blood, because that's a choice we can make, and it's one of the only choices that we have in this life. And I know you're pissed at me because
I'm confused about you. I don't understand what
I mean is
what is between us. What is a beautiful thing has anything to do with being ordered around by other people?
Because if I'm right, and it's not our choice, that doing that creates something artificial that drives something between us. If I'm right, then we are giving up the only choice we have that we can make in life.
Does it feel artificial?
No.
Blood, I mean.
No, it doesn't. But that's sort of the point, right? That look, this is important to me, and I want us to not do this. And if you're right, and there's nothing in it, then we won't feel any different, and it'll wear off. And when it's done, I swear to God, if you're right, I will apologize, and I will drink you down all night long. But if you're not right, and I'm right, then we'll know, because something will feel different. And then the two of us can decide if that's how we want to live. It's not something we just stumbled into. It's not it's a choice. It's not an accident.
So he will take your hand and squeeze it, and he says, I already know, but if this is what you want, then I can wait.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't know what you would say, and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, Adam. I really don't. But if it's the worst, if I don't come back, then you have to do a couple of things for me. Will you do that?
Well, I don't like this talk of you not coming back.
I don't
And
like it either. It's not what I...
And I know that they're your friends, and I know that you have respect for each other, and that I'm pleased about that. But I saw Silas fight in the games, and I've seen enough of Theodore to know that you're not like them.
No, I'm not.
And some people have a knack for surviving violence. Some of us just aren't made for it. I don't think you're made for violence, Velvet. I understand you want to help them. I'm not going to stand in your way. Don't do anything stupid for them. Help them in the way that you can best. But don't think you're suddenly going to be like Silas just because he's under threat. If they can't deal with whatever it is, then the best way to serve them is for you not to die and get help.
I don't plan on dying. I don't want that to happen.
If I think you're going into this with any kind of heroics, then I'm going to beg you not to go. I know you have to, but go knowing you're going to survive.
I'm not a hero.
Good.
You know that.
I don't want you to be a hero. I want you to come back.
I promise you, I will come back.
I'll do. I will do what you ask. Of course, I will.
You have the address of my attorney, and if I don't come back, you should get in touch with him. He everything that I have is yours. But there are 3 things that are not written down in that documentation because I didn't think it was a safe thing to do. The first thing, it concerns a mortal woman by the name of August Christie. I have a holding company that owns a part of Riley Corp, and that company has been financing treatment for her for some period of time now. And do whatever you like with the business, but make sure you keep that going. She was close to Joanne, and whilst I'm mad as hell at the way that Joanne left and what she said to me, that is not the fault of this woman. So she needs that until she's either cured or died. I don't know how long that takes. The second thing is Barnaby and his mother.
He rolls his eyes.
Just find them somewhere permanent to stay, and just watch out for his mother, right? Because she's into Hawkeye, so she's going to be knocking on your door in a minute as soon as I'm gone. But
well, I got the feeling her attention was firmly on you.
Well, I don't know. If that's the case, out of the 2 of us, then she's goddamn blind. But otherwise than that, the third thing is I have a letter, and I needed to go to my son. It doesn't matter how you get it there. It just tells him.
I can do that.
All right.
You don't need to tell me what's in it if you don't want to.
It tells him a lot of things I've always wanted to tell him. Don't there's nothing controversial in it. But he's the same age right now that Barnaby looks to me every time I look at him. I don't want that for him. So I might be... I know I'm being foolish because, they're not the same. And Barnaby's older than me, but every time I look at him, I can't. It's what I see. And I don't want that for Freddie.
I'll deliver the letter. I'll make sure this August Christie continues to get the treatment that she needs.
All right. It's not going to matter, right? Because I'll be back.
Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to come back.
I love you, Al. I don't ever want to be parted from you.
I love you too, Velvet. I have for a long time.
I'll just embrace him.
Yes, he will be able to do this.
And then I guess we can go to sleep. I don't know how late it is, but wait.
Well, I mean, so you being two hot undead things will
we can do that.
have a bit of fun for a bit before before the sun rises. Velvet will be aware that there is a sort of an odd, there is this sort of that whole, well, this could be the last time.
Yeah.
Slight desperation in him being with you. You were also aware of a moment where, like every time, sometimes where his mouth will linger on you, where you're like, is he going to keep to his promise?
Well, I kind of imagine I'm the same, right? So there's this is not like a thing I really desperately want to do, but it's for the greater good.
Playing with fire.
Yeah, and you are aware of you are aware of the fact that on some level, for Velvet, yes, it is nice to be physically with him, but it's not quite the same as it was when you were alive. Yeah. And that slight, it's a bit like when you want a particular type of food, where your body needs a particular kind of food, and you've eaten, but you haven't had that particular kind of food or that particular bit of nutrients that you need. So there is an element. It's not a big one, but it's just enough. It's like a little tiny fly in your soup, It is otherwise a nice evening, but there is that little hankering for, and you will feel that tingling in your gums of your fangs kind of wanting to come out. But of course they don't. Of course they don't, because you control yourself in the way that you think Adam is controlling himself. And so Velvet's night will come to a close there. Right. Anything else Theodore or Silas are doing? Let me just make a quick check for Rupert as well.
Go, Rupert.
Blimey. Oh. So that night, Theodore, Rupert will deliver a person to you.
To sample, I imagine.
Yeah.
I sampled them, taking just one.
So I should say he will come into the haven. This guy that's with him, who's just wearing like a kind of hoodie and jeans, Maybe it's just Theodore's imagination, but there's something about the clothes he's wearing that look like they don't quite suit the guy. Mm-hmm. But the guy just comes in with a very vacant look on his face and will just stand pretty much there for you to sample.
I do.
Rupert will suggest he'll like turn the guy so that his back's to you. Mm-hmm. And Rupert himself will avert his eyes or turn away when it comes time for you to sample. And yeah, when you taste it, this blood, it is strange, because most blood carries some trace either of maybe someone's depression, or maybe someone's anger, or maybe someone's passion. And that it can be as varied as humanity, right? And Theodore will know that there are some people who carry particularly if they've just had an experience that has profoundly affected them in one way or another, that can be felt in the blood. Yeah. But what you taste here is like somebody, it's not even like a weak emotion. It's like someone who is cut off from their own emotions. Like someone who's emotionally catatonic.
Okay.
And whilst that flavour does not bring much pleasure to you to taste, it does in another way resonate with you, another part of you. That hollowness, that emptiness. There is something of that. Or not really of anything, an absence of things. But Theodore has an absence within his soul that resonates with that absence.
Okay, I say to Rupert that he will do to make the arrangements because I'm gonna Like, I'm not gonna train him tonight. I'm just gonna leave it for tomorrow. But I want to know a little bit more if that, basic stuff. I know he does his job well, but is he someone that's going to be missed?
It was, oh no worries about that. The paperwork's already been handled.
I'm glad to hear that. I thank him. I make the arrangements to have the guy, like, following evening when we're going with Helena to the woods or whatever.
And he says, when you've completed your great duties for the city, we can have a further chat with the boonkeeper.
Absolutely.
Because now, would you like me to have him sent back to you tomorrow, or do you want to keep him here?
No, send him back tomorrow, first thing.
Of
Please.
course.
I wouldn't want to mess with his state.
No, quite. He'll turn to the guy and tell him to follow, and the guy will do so. And they will go. I mean, it's like watching a zombie basically leave with Rupert.
Yeah.
So you will all settle in for the night.
Silas is Silas for the evening. He's going to so once the court's broken up, he's going to see if he can contact Finn.
Yes. How are you? You just phoning him?
Just calling.
Or are you trying? So you're not trying to, because he's in the court, so you could have seen him there if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's probably it. But yeah, sort of aside from the main court.
Sure. So you got to Finn.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Question is, I know you've studied a bit about the history of Oxfordshire. So who is this Bowman? I'd like to be aware of.
No, that's a question. So, a long time ago, when the city was founded, this place used to be overrun with other monsters. Lupines, nasty bastards. And for a long time, we Cainites couldn't really settle in Oxfordshire around this area. So, most people, when they travelled through, would slink in the shadows, and hide, or just take a wide berth around the whole place. But Drogo, he said, no, look, we're going to do this differently. And he got together this group of they were the founding knights, of course, but also other brave kindred, and they all gathered together and had this great hunt. And they made this place safe for our kind, and they established Oxfordshire. And not only did they do that by force of arms, but also through honour and the oath, and that's where all that started. And the people who went on that venture, they became the first true citizens of Oxfordshire when they swore. Now, one of those citizens was a man who was that's complicated, but he was a child of Sir James.
Oh, fuck.
Aye, and it's fair to say that the two didn't get on that well, and they fought on opposite sides of the war. Anyway, this man, his name's Hugh Bowman. He was one of these who fought these lupines, right? And as a reward for his service, the prince offered him a chance to join Oxfordshire. And he agreed. But the reason he agreed was so that he'd have the right to challenge Sir James to a duel. Because Sir James had someone in his keeping that the Bowman wanted back. Anyway, they fought their duel, and Sir James lost it. And so the man was returned to the Bowman. And then the Bowman, after a while, decided he'd stay in the domain. And Prince Drogo made him the Scourge of Oxfordshire.
Okay.
For a while, that was all right. But then they found out that the Scourge of Oxfordshire was hunting down innocent neonates and fledglings and feeding on them. Not just, Not just on their blood either. I mean, sucking the souls right out of them. So, it was a blood hunt. So I'm told. It was before my time, of course. And the city amassed a great force to hunt him down and destroy him. But he got away. We don't know how. And of course, they hear stories about him. Sometimes they say he walks through Oxfordshire again. Sometimes when neonates disappear, they say the Bowman got them. Shrugs. I've not heard much about him lately, but must be they found where he is.
Right. Suitably scared.
Aye, but
I'm going to make sure you have plenty of weapons.
I just make sure you remember your duty. Your duty is not to fight someone of your own bloodline. Just to make sure that our boonkeeper gets back all right. But I would say this. If history has taught me anything, it's that the Bowman tends to go for younger kindred. That's his preferred hunting.
Right.
So, I would watch your back.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I'll let the others know, and we'll be tooled up as best we can.
Aye. I think that's wise. You'll be fine, Silas. You're strong.
Mm.
Also sure about some of your others, but and he'll lean in. He'll say, and I've got to tell you, says Gareth is probably the most pathetic excuse for Ancilla I've ever seen. So he's going to need a lot of protection. I think a strong breeze would send him to final death, to be honest with you.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. Yeah, thank you.
You go carefully, eh?
I will do. I'll keep you in the loop of kind of where we're at, just in case.
Aye.
Because I mean, if he is at that line, then
well, he's over that line, but he's not exactly of. He's a black sheep, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. So if I drop contact, you might know where to bring the rest of the family, just in case. Because we want to remove this. We want that stain removed.
Aye, we do. We do.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's all right, Silas. It's all right. Well, put a hand on your shoulder and do me proud, all right?
Yeah, we'll do. I'll message you. I'll try and message you every hour. Haven't had me in a couple of hours.
I'll keep this thing on.
Okay.
So
Then
sorry, yeah.
off that I'll contact Mr. Whispers.
Okay, you're going to find her in person, or you're like messaging her?
Messenger. So after the court.
Okay, what are you putting in the message?
Do you want to spend some time together?
Yes, comes the reply.
Where shall we meet?
You get a street address.
And I'll ride up, pick her up.
So she'll meet you, and you will go kind of riding around together. Mm-hmm. Are you wanting to talk to her about anything in particular, or do you just want to have like a nice evening?
Just sort of a nice evening. Maybe share a hunt as well. Because I'm hungry too, so drop that down.
Sure. Yep. So, all right. So hang on a minute. If you want to do that, then you're going to have to ask her in character. So let's imagine you're on a bike and you've gone somewhere vaguely kind of scenic that kind of overlooks part of the city at night, so you can see the lights and things, but also quite a lot of the greenery around. And it's quiet. It's obviously very late now. It's like 3 a.m. or something. There's no one around. And you've parked your bike up and you're both kind of sitting kind of but side on it, but next to each other. You've been making a bit of small talk, probably. She's not very good at small talk, it's worth mentioning. Yep. She doesn't say very much. Unless you prompt her, she doesn't tend to say very much.
I was thinking. No, are you potentially a little hungry?
What do you mean?
I mean, that's one thing that we both will always need to do. If you'd like, we can share a hunt. I don't know how your preference is.
Oh, right. I suppose so. I'm a little hungry, I suppose.
Yeah. How do you tend to go about?
Well, I tend to. She looks down. I try to do it in a way that no one notices. I try to do it quietly. You know?
Not a way that I'm particularly familiar with or good at.
She says, well, how do you do it then?
Well, with the career I was normally in, I used to be in, pulling was easy enough, and it's become easier with this. So it's the physical side of it is it's only there for the feed, really. They have fun time, but they don't remember exactly what happened. And yeah.
She says, actually, on second thoughts, maybe you should just go and hunt yourself. That doesn't sound like my kind of thing.
Well, no two of us are ever alike, and I like you for who you are.
Thanks.
You okay?
I was just thinking, I don't know. Well, we're dating, aren't we?
I would say that, yes, we are. I would say this is very much a date.
Well, when you were talking about how you feed, that sounds like dating as well.
And it's,
don't you think?
It's there's no pleasure. There's no. It's sustenance.
Well, if there's no pleasure in it, then you wouldn't mind stopping it, doing it that way. Then, I mean, whilst you're dating me, I mean. She's entering into social combat with you.
Mm-hmm.
She's entering into social combat with you. Charisma and persuasion.
Yep.
You're welcome. If you want to have an argument first, though, you're welcome to.
I think Silas will respond with, I will in cultivating other ways than to feed.
Oh, in that case, there's no social combat if you're conceding her argument. She brightens up at that and says, good.
Would you mind showing me how you do it?
I don't mind. So she will take you off to feed. Now, has Silas got any stealth whatsoever?
Nope, nothing. Absolutely none.
So her method of feeding basically involves being able to be very quiet and stealthy and also obfuscate. So it's fair to say that Silas is a bit like... There's a number of things, actually, that will strike Silas about her method of feeding. One is that he is not at all practiced at it, and it's going to take him a while to get his head around it. The second thing is, when Silas goes hunting, it's kind of fun in its own way. I mean, it can also feel a bit sleazy, but fundamentally, you go to a club, there's lots of cool music and lots of people looking great, having a great time, and inevitably, he is able to get lots of positive attention and ego boosting and stroking, which even if he doesn't necessarily enjoy the flirtatious side of it completely, there is still a buzz to it, and he still fundamentally gets the blood at the end of it, which does give him a good feeling. And it's all pretty great. Whereas this is like skulking around, people's back gardens, peeking through windows, trying to find ways into houses. It feels very shady.
Oh, yeah.
Fundamentally, if you were caught, unless it was obvious that you were a vampire, if you were caught in a club, the worst that could be said is that you're being a bit of a slut, right? But this is actually criminal, right? She is doing something that is criminal. She is potentially breaking into someone's home. And that does feel very different to you, and also makes you feel a bit nervous because obviously part of your job as the Southern Beam is to keep this kind of stuff to a minimum, to avoid drawing attention. And you can just imagine Theodore's face, if some alarm went off or, there was something happening.
It's I can feel the finger wag.
So it's fair to say that she will be able to show you and help you, and she'll be able to do things like get in, get you access to a house and things like that. But it is a long and slightly fraught process. I'm going to make one quick roll for her. I don't think you give her any assists because
nope.
This is not your jam.
Nope.
Okay, so she will be able to get you into the house. It'll be very stressful, but you will finally get to someone who lives alone in their place, and she will sip a little bit of their blood. She will be quite shy about removing her veil. Is Silas doing anything about that? Are you trying to see what she looks like? Are you trying not to see what she looks like? Where are you?
Silas will turn away.
Sure. Okay. So she will feed a little bit and then step back and allow you to feed.
I'll feed for one.
Okay. So on the plus side, it's very easy. Once you're actually by the bedside, there's this kind of worry they might wake up. But of course, the moment your fangs pierce their skin, they're enraptured in the kiss anyway, and they're asleep. The thing that's weird for Silas is normally when you taste someone's blood, it is blood that is infused on some level with the thrill of partying and dancing and drinking and sex and all of that lust and other stuff. Whereas this is like the complete opposite. This blood tastes to you very sedate, lulling almost. It's a bit like if you normally drink sweet drinks and then someone gives you a sour drink. It's that kind of... I'm not saying he might enjoy it, but it's a very different experience to the one he normally has. And it's very still. Everything's very, everything is just so quiet. You're very aware of yourself, of the sound of the blood going down your throat as you swallow and things like that, in a way you're not normally. But it happens, and you're able to leave easily enough. And she says to you, I'm a bit worried about what you're going to do.
So am I. But Helena is the one that needs to be doing the fighting. We're just there to protect the Boonkeeper.
She nods.
I've got I'm going to be keeping Finn updated as to where I am, so just in case.
Is he going with you?
He's not going to be coming with me, but in case I drop contact for too long, he knows where to bring some backup.
But what use would that be?
Then
when you want someone closer.
I know you're not a fighter. I can't have you that close. But with songs, I'm able to hold them off, even if I torpor. Then there'll still be those that will be people that can come get me out of there.
So as you're saying this, Silas, and trying to put on a brave face, it will strike you Finn's words in your head of how the Bowman likes to feed on neonates, and he sucks their souls right out of their bodies.
Oh yeah.
So the thought of being in torpor doesn't necessarily give you the comfort it might on another occasion.
Nope. But it's like, if both of us in torpor, fine. If we can manage that somehow.
But she seems unaware of this.
Yeah.
So
then
she says, well, I'm not going to be very close by. She says, but I might be quite close by if you need some actual backup.
There's something you think you can do. He is potent. And he, as Sir William said, he dueled my grandsire to a standstill years ago. Who knows how much stronger he's gotten since then?
She shrugs. Says, I don't know what I can do. Just seems a bit useless to just sit here and wait for a text message.
I'll be back. I'll off my arms out for a hug.
Yeah, she'll hug you. It's still a bit awkward, but it's a little less awkward than the last time. So it's a sense of progress. And assumedly, you will
part ways.
So the evening of Sunday, the 2nd of August, will come. And you will be kind of told that you are to collect Gareth, and you're given a place to do that. You will also be in.
Sorry, sure. The previous night I just messaged Miyuki just to know how she is, but I don't tell her anything about what I'm about to do.
Okay. She will just say that she's fine and is still waiting for those strawberries you promised.
Oh yeah. We'll get them to you.
I do like the spirit of Velvet is just like, I'm surrounded by these people. Oh, it's so hard work.
Man.
I have to talk to Velvet. So when we go and collect Gareth, I asked Velvet, it's like, what's the place you get your strawberries from for Miyuki? So I can, make the call or have him help me and just.
I'll say, Did you not get the strawberries yet? Man.
No, I got them the last time. She just wants new ones.
That was a long time ago, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want me to sort it out for you?
Please.
Or I can give you...
Please, I'll go and collect Gareth.
I absolutely am. I'm absolutely down for that distribution of duties. So I will go and get an enormous load of strawberries from wherever I normally get them. Mm-hmm. I'll also get a really big bunch of flowers. Yeah, whatever I think are her favorite color, and then I'll deliver them to her on behalf of Theodore.
All right. Well, Miyuki is delighted.
I'll also get flowers for Adam because I want to be buying flowers for Miyuki and not for Adam. Right. So.
I think that feels good to you. So you buy flowers and you distribute strawberries. Miyuki is very pleased by this. Although I think Velvet is probably smooth enough to make it like Theodore, because there is a little bit of like, nice to see you,
some crappy elder has demanded his time over the last X number of nights, and that means of course she's never left his thoughts. So
she will be very pleased by this, and she'll say he's so good.
Thanks, bro.
Because he's always so dutiful, but he never forgets his true duty. She gives you a little smile. And,
I'll say, well, I'm glad to hear it. If you ever find that you're considering that he has, you just let me know and I'll pull him back in line.
She's very pleased with this. Of course she will.
I will make my way to, I guess, back to the Haven. I don't know.
Yeah. So essentially, just to cut a bit of kind of logistics short, it will be communicated to you via Saholder that you are going to be taking Gareth to the New Forest, and that you're going to be going to Southampton.
So not to be, I think, do we need to do all the relevant checks for the evening?
Oh, the rouse check when you wake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about it, Theodore, because you have a person you're going to feed on imminently, so it's irrelevant in your case.
Yes.
Right? So there's no point rousing because you're going to still end up on whatever hunger you'd end up anyway.
I gave up last night.
Okay. So, yes, the other two of you will need to rouse in the morning of the evening of Sunday.
I'll do that now.
Thank you.
Pass.
So yes, you are going to have so things I want to know from you is how many vehicles you're traveling in, whether you're all traveling together in one vehicle or whether you're in a convoy.
I would imagine that by this time, Silas already sort of fixed Theodore's car. I mean, it's been a month. I should
say, we're at the beginning of September.
Cool. So I think 2 cars would be appropriate.
I'm not taking my car because
one car and the motorcycle.
I die. So
I think 1 car and the motorcycle. It would be good.
Yeah.
Motorcycle for mobility mostly, and the car so we can take Gareth and be able to move around.
Cyrus will have during this have informed both Velvet and Theodore what Finn has informed him of the Bowman.
Point of order: when and how does he do this?
Probably as soon as the next time he sees them.
When you see them, what does he tell them? Because obviously what he tells them might impact on what they do.
Also, is Adam with me? Because that will impact on what I do. Like if we're at the Haven, for the sake of argument.
I will assume he would be. For conversations about what we're going to do, I would assume that Theodore will.
Yeah, in which case, okay.
And your boyfriend will be kicked out of the Bean meeting.
That's fine.
So,
I don't want him there. Also, he's my husband, point of order.
So, yes, apologies. Your husband is kicked out of the meeting.
It's very much okay. I was able to ask Finn, who's been historian, and this is what he informed me of the moment, and just lay that a while for them.
So I will look like I'm going to pass out with fear.
Theo has this annoyed look in his face, like annoyed. Because in his mind, nobody else knows this, but he's like thinking, I should have kept that shotgun.
In fact, the kind of my takeaway from this will be to say, you said he eats the souls of neonates.
From
That
what
is a thing that can happen.
From what I've been informed.
It is a practice the Sabbat engage in. Others call it diablerie.
What?
What benefit is it from it? Why would he wish to do it?
What?
You, I don't know much about
What
it.
is the Sabbat? What is?
It's remember the people I used to fight in Japan? Those stories I told you.
Right.
Well, they sometimes engage in this practice, which is soul drinking, diablerie. It has many names. It's a way of taking power. I don't know how.
Why are you not freaking out about this? Why are both of you not freaking out about this? Why are you so fucking calm? Somebody might eat my soul. This is not a fucking movie, right?
This is. I mean, I don't think you should be worrying too much about that.
I shouldn't be worrying about it.
Elena should.
But she is old, right? And we are young. And you have just said that is his thing, right? I don't know if it's his kink or what.
However, that will mean that she's going to be near. She will be near us, and then as soon as she's engaged, and we can get the fuck back.
She is not going to care about us. What she is going to do, if she has got half an ounce of sense, is throw us right in his path.
That's the thing.
Right?
It is to her benefit that we survive, because the Boon Keeper will give a detailed account of what happened. And if she jeopardizes the lives of anyone in Oxfordshire, her claim is forfeit, and so is her life.
You know what? There are a dozen ways that she could throw us under the bus and have the Boon Keeper survive and not have him tell the tale. Because if she wins, she's the prince. She can offer him whatever the hell she wants to shut the hell up, right? What's he going to do? And we're still going to be dead. Everything about this is terrible. Everything. Unequivocally. It's all awful.
You are assuming, Silas, you and I are doing nothing to stop her.
I am not doing anything to stop her. That is for sure.
Then you should trust Silas and I. Now, Silas, quick question. Do you have those emergency gasoline bags that's used, when you run out of gas and go to a petrol station, the ones that help you keep some petrol?
Yeah, just keep a few of those just in case.
Okay, could you fill one up, please?
Just one?
Well, if you want one for yourself, then I would suggest you do the same. But I think one should be enough.
I'll put one in your car, and I'll make sure we're tooled up.
You have one on the motorcycle.
Yeah, and I'll take a few Javins and such.
Velvet, we have faced worse.
You have faced worse for sure. So has Silas. I have not faced worse. There's nothing worse that I have faced. Just let's be clear on that.
Then stand behind us.
I'm gonna put my hand on his shoulder. It's like I go, and I'm gonna make sure nothing happens to you, brother. But you have to promise me one thing.
What?
Do as I say when I say it, and always make sure that you grab the Boon Keeper whenever you run to wherever. That's simple. If I am distracted by the Boon Keeper, I cannot protect you and him. But if I know you're gonna take him with you, then I'll keep you safe. Do we have a deal? I mean, I need you safe. Who else is gonna be helping me out with the strawberries whenever I need them?
All right.
My life would be in serious danger there. Then I would be the one freaking out like you are.
Yeah, that is not a woman you want to cross.
No.
That's fair to say.
You feeling better now?
No, of course not.
Are you calmer now?
Yes, I'm calmer now.
I'll take it. Let's make preparations.
All right. So Theo, you bet. What do I need to wear? Because I'm not taking this. These shoes cost $700. I'm not taking them.
No. Working boots, steel toes. I'll supply a pair.
Right. Okay.
And Silas is going to walk to the place in the war room where he's hidden Claymore, and is going to pull that out.
Okay.
I suddenly go back to not being calm again. There are swords in the wall.
Where did you get that out? He was hiding here behind this panel. Didn't you know?
It is sometimes a sort of shocking reminder that Velvet lives with a bunch of sociopaths, right? That there are weapons everywhere in this house. And yes, Silas will pull out a giant claymore and carry it with the ease of, as if it was a sword for TV rather than a real sword. But of course, it is actually a real sword. It very much does not look like a prop to you. But he does make it look like it is.
I give Velvet a gun, a 9mm.
Okay.
And an extra clip.
I don't know what to do with it, which I don't.
It's okay. And a holster, so he can keep it under. And I tell him not to wear good clothes. Like, grab whatever suit you hate the most. Bring it with you. Okay.
All right. I mean, I don't have any suits.
Velvet that while he has
go on.
no experience shooting guns, he has quite a lot of experience pretending to know how to shoot guns.
Exactly.
From his time with Sam.
It's a shame, isn't it? That's not a skill on the skill sheet.
Well, it's kind of true.
Yeah.
All right. So, do I understand that Theodore is providing Velvet with some boots, and Velvet is going to pick out a suitable suit?
He doesn't have any suits that he hates, because suits that he hates he gets rid of. Right. So
any suit that is about to jump into that category is the one you bring.
So what he will do is, since this is not in any way, whatever he's wearing after this is being destroyed, he will go to Silas's cupboard, get something out of there, wear that. Yeah.
It's going to be massive. Like, not tall-wise, but wide-wise.
React to this.
And Silas will go, take these leathers, they'll do you better. And Silas pull out some biker's leathers and just some on iron.
So I'm clad in biker leathers and steel toe cap shoes.
Yeah, just for the sake of Velvet's dignity, that Silas is a very different size to Velvet.
Yes.
I mean, I think they're great sort of tall-wise. Yeah, but I mean, tall-wise is not much different.
But he is
the width.
Broad.
Okay, well, if it's clearly too big, then I'll go to Theodore's cupboard. Yes.
So yeah, it's fine. They will fit, but let's just say you don't look good in Silas's clothes, but you can wear them.
Okay.
I'm just mentioning it because I'm not saying Vel's going to do anything about it, but Vel will be aware of it.
He'll be very unsatisfied, for sure. Yeah, he's very unsatisfied. But yeah.
Thank God you're not a toreador. Thank God you're not a toreador. You would immediately be succumbing to your clan bane just with those clothes. It's like, oh no, I am a walking breach of my own bane.
Yeah.
So
this is bad enough that I have to say goodbye to Adam looking like this, possibly for the last time.
Adam does not pass judgment. It's fair to say.
Good boy.
But so you will have a slightly prolonged goodbye. You know, one of those goodbyes that goes on longer than it should, where it's like, oh, just one more hug, and then, and then, I've just remembered this thing I've got to tell you, and it's a bit like that. But you will eventually part company.
Yep.
And Silas, I assume you are taking many bladed weapons.
Yeah, they were and the boots full, and there's javelins as well. There's quite a few tools.
All right,
katana.
So you are loaded
on
weapons.
One tracer bullet. One. The ones that are phosphorus, so you can see in the dark. You can know where you're aiming. No fire damage or whatever. Just not normal tracer.
No, I'm aware. Yeah. Tracers don't do much to Kindred.
Yeah.
Yes, useful for seeing in the dark. Apart from javelins and swords and shenanigans, good shoes, katana, gun, tracer bullet, are there any other things you feel I should be aware of that you are taking on this trip?
2 jerry cans in the boot of the car.
Yeah, thank you.
My phone and several remote chargers.
and 3 nightlight camping flashlights.
Cool. So like heavy
Also
duty.
a credit card.
Yeah. The big ones that you can also use as like blunt weapons.
All right, cool. So you will obviously collect Gareth. He's assumably going to be traveling in the car. You're not putting him on the bike, I'm guessing?
Nope, he's traveling in the car.
Yeah.
And
I also mentioned... Oh, yeah, we'll do that in the car.
And you will see that Helena is being driven in a car.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be following that car to the location. You'll be informed by Holder that all kinds of, any other kindred in the area are aware that you are going to be there. There will not be an issue. It is, though she will say it is extremely unlikely that you will meet any other kindred anywhere near this place.
Is she going with others? Is she being accompanied by others?
Helena, no.
Okay.
You will
so
be
she's
aware
alone in the car.
There is someone driving the car.
Okay.
But she is not. There are no other kind of kindred of Reading going. It is supposed to be, a thing that she does.
Yeah.
By and large. And so, yes, you follow them down. It is a reasonably clear night. And like I say, it's a couple of hours drive down to Southampton. Obviously, Silas, you're on your bike, and so you can't really kind of converse in the car very easily. Just to remind you, so Gareth, when you pick Gareth up, Gareth is a very slight kindred, and he is wearing some vaguely robust-looking trousers, a very baggy jumper, and a waterproof jacket. And he looks about as pleased as Velvet to be in this scenario.
You're not going to get one.
He is not. He normally wears like a belt with these long strips of metal that keep records of the boons and things like that. He is not wearing that belt tonight. It is not with him, and it's the first time you'll have seen him without it. He's quite, like I say, he's not a particularly big man, and he's quite pale, and he seems not very, he's fairly easy to approach whenever you've had to talk to him. He is no means threatening at all. It is worth a reminder to you all, by the way, that he has a unique status in the city. He effectively holds no status. He is supposedly seen as impartial, and he is forbidden from hunting within the domain. However, it is the duty of Oxfordshire citizens to ensure that he is given shelter should ever he ask for it. So he holds no domain of his own in the city, but he can go to anyone in Oxfordshire and ask to be given sanctuary, and they should give it to him and also provide him food. There probably will have been a time over the 10-year gap where he will have come to your haven, so that will have happened to you at some point. And the only other thing I will say about him that you probably will know, and I think particularly probably Velvet, this is relevant to, is that he will have, when he did come and stay with you, he won't have just gone and hidden in his room. He will have wanted to be in company.
Okay.
He will have kind of hung out around you.
Well, I'm imagining I will have chatted to him quite a lot then.
Yeah.
Because I'm a sociable sort.
So who is driving in the car?
Theodore.
Cool. So Theodore is driving. Is Velvet in the shotgun position? Gareth, or are you sitting in the
No,
back?
probably if I've had conversation with him in the past, I'll probably sit in the back unless I'm directed by Theodore to sit in the front.
Okay.
Because I'm doing all the things he says. So.
Yeah. No,
So is there anything?
It's easier to.
Is there anything you want to say to Gareth on this long drive?
Yes.
Or are you just Okay.
Yeah, I'll chat to him.
This is basically, at some point I will mention, there is the transferal of Mayor Boone to me. But I see you don't have your metal strips tonight, so we'll leave it for later. A quick question. If something, like, we're going to make our best to keep you safe, but should something happen to you tonight, who would who would be taking care of being the boon keeper of the city?
It's a good question. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Well, let's not find out.
No,
I agree.
No, right.
And then the best way to do it is you say what we told you to say. You do what we say when we say it.
Oh,
no
right.
questions asked.
Yes, I'll.
You're a reasonable chap,
No problem.
so we're here to keep you safe.
I'll say, I have a question. Because, now you don't have the belt. It's got to be a lot lighter walking around. And my question is...
Right, yes.
Why not, computerized file? Why metal strip? What is that about? I mean, I'm assuming it's not your choice, right? But...
No, it's how it's
But
always been done.
it seems kind of insecure, right?
Well, it's my duty to look after it, and also those of Oxfordshire to do the same. So he looks a bit nervous now you've suggested this as a kind of idea that it's not very secure.
I'll say, I'm sure you're right. It's just it just strikes me that it's difficult, to match a jacket with that belt. I mean, I don't envy you that at all.
Like the other will roll his eyes but smile. It's like,
but good work on the jacket here, because
it's not really about fashion. No,
You know what, Gareth? Everything is about fashion, Gareth. Whether people tell you that or not, that is a fact.
Well, perhaps you can give me some pointers when we get back.
Sure.
So you always look very sharp in court.
Well, it always pays to look your best. Although I have to apologize to you because I emphatically do not look my best this evening. But, there is no circumstance I can think of where I would be willing to ruin $700 shoes by walking around in the mud. So
that's fair point.
Yeah,
yes.
It seemed to be a sensible thing, right?
So you're feeling confident we can make it through the evening?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
I don't have any doubt at all.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Theodore and Silas are pretty tough duo to get through. So
yes, I don't know. I've got absolute confidence. It'll all be fine, I'm sure.
Excellent. I am just trying to stay aware what's going on around me.
So he seems like he's not looking forward to any of this, and a little bit nervous. And it will occur to you that in your time, obviously you don't track his movements, but as far as you're aware, he has always stayed within the city. He doesn't even go kind of beyond, apart from on very special occasions. So this is probably quite far out of his comfort zone, you suspect.
Okay.
So you will drive and ride, as I say, into Southampton and ultimately to the borders of the New Forest. And there will come a point where it is no longer possible for you to drive. Helena's car will stop. She will get out. So normally, whenever you've seen Helena, she is normally wearing like Regency dress and very elegant kind of court level stuff. She looks like she stepped out of like a period drama or something like that when she has been to court before. So it is slightly odd to see her in quite mundane clothes. She's basically wearing what looks like quite expensive camping clothes. You know, if you were going out kind of hiking and camping, but you were going to quite a posh store to buy the stuff.
I don't approve of camping, but I approve of this statement.
So yes, so she's not wearing waterproofs, but she is wearing quite kind of sturdy, like hiking trousers and quite nice looking, like hiking boots. But even though she's dressed in this way, there is nothing about her that makes her look outdoorsy. She's quite a she's quite kind of elegant looking, and she's quite busty, and she's quite, you know, yes, these clothes are expensive and they're nice, but she does not look like she's in her element at all. That is the thing that will strike you. But she still looks good. She just doesn't look like she's about to go onto a massively great outdoor adventure. She looks good.
I'll say to Gareth, see, there's never an excuse not to look good.
He says, right, take your point.
I'll put my stuff in a small bag that I will slingshot. So the jerry can, flashlights, extra batteries, clips for ammo. I keep my gun with me and my katana in my hand, but the basic stuff, even I put in the crowbar from the boot just for good measure.
All right.
So
she will also have a backpack on, I should say, and she seems to have. She will also have what looks like an outdoors light. She seems to be carrying. It's like in a plastic case, but she's got what looks like a map, and she also has what looks to be a long knife at her side as well.
And Silas has maybe got the javelins over his back in a pouch, and spare blade of weapon. He's carrying the claymore on his shoulder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Needless to say, I fed from the guy and drained him before.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. So, if anyone listening along that's not clear, the somewhat vacant, strange man that was delivered by Rupert is no more. We never even knew his name. But Theodore, as a result of this, is feeling, one, not hungry at all. And here's a thing worth noting, Theodore, of course. These rare times where there is no hunger pulling at you whatsoever gives you a strangely clear mind. And it makes you realize that there's always some part of you otherwise that is thinking about the blood, about its proximity to you, where you're going to get it. The fact there's just that little need there, but it's completely gone. You feel very much yourself. And the second thing to say is that it also, because of the taste of that particular blood and the quantity that you drank of it, and the deepness when you kind of fed from that man, it sort of brought to your mind more clearly your connection to that shadowy part of your soul. You feel it a little closer to the surface than usual, which may result in some mechanical shenanigans later.
Fingers crossed.
So, once Helena has kind of seen you all, she will turn, seem to check where she is, will seem to consult her map. She'll look up at the sky a bit, and after a few moments will begin to set off into the woods, which I assume you will follow her.
Yep.
Is there anything I should be aware of whilst you travel into the forest?
I text Adam once every 15 minutes until there isn't any phone signal.
Cool.
I'm doing the same with Finn. Then texting once we arrived, so we've arrived, and then try and every 50 minutes, hour, try and send a message.
Theodore is just keeping track of her. He is trailblazing, so I think that knowledge he has of survival is finally gonna come handy.
Yeah, you might get to roll
a soldier in life. I might need to roll it, and I will not say I don't have it. So that's exciting. It's not that I have a lot, but I have some.
I'll be chatting away to whoever's listening.
Gareth.
Okay, so you want to chat to Gareth. How close are you going to Helena? I should say she's not like going super fast, so she will often be kind of checking where she is, and then she'll go for a little bit, and then she'll pause, and then set herself and go. It's very easy to keep up with her. You know, she's not trying to lose you or anything like that. But I'm just curious whether you're kind of staying close to her or whether you're keeping your distance. What you're kind of
mid-range, call it mid-range. So, and enough so she's within our sights, especially when we go to the deep end of the woods and we have to start because I know, well, Theodore knows for a fact that these are going to stop chatting and stop texting the moment they can't see shit, and they will be all focused with their flashlights looking ahead. Is Helena assisting herself in any way with any source of light sources of any kind?
Yeah, she's carrying a torch.
Okay.
So as you begin to, so she will be the first one, of course, to get to the point of the woods where there is very poor light now coming through. You know, the starlight doesn't reach much through the trees, particularly as the canopies thicken. And so, yes, you will see her torch click on, and you will see her starting to make her way. Of course,
we are within sort of light distance, like in a place that we can see not only the light source, but if I flare my flashlight in that direction, I can see her. So sort of like, I don't let her get too far away.
Okay, so you're following along with your torch. There will come a point for Velvet and Silas where your phones will no longer have signal, where you will no doubt have your torches on, I assume. Gareth is staying close to you, but he is not putting a torch on. He seems to be just taking advantage of your light. He will be staying very close to you, Velvet, if you're talking to him. Now, the question I have for you is Theodore's theory correct? Does Velvet stop chatting amiably once you get into...
But we want him to find us, right? So the louder I am, the more likely that is. And the quicker we can leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Gareth will chat to you, and he seems to be kind of using this chat as a distraction from the potential horror of what might be about to happen to you. So he will be like, you know, that kind of like slightly desperate, let's just keep talking. And he'll like, oh, if you make a joke, he might laugh that a little bit too loudly at it or that little bit too fast, you know. But he is definitely engaged in anything like that. What about Silas? Where is Silas in all this?
Silas,
like, are you part of the conversation? Are you with Theodore? Are you somewhere else?
Silas is kind of keep an eye on everything around them. And as soon as the phone signal, the quiet, you know, swords at the ready. He is looking out. He is very much on edge, knowing that.
And where is he positioning himself relative to the bookkeeper?
So we're guessing Theodore's kind of in front of the bookkeeper.
Yeah.
And Silas will be behind. And Silas will be at the rear.
Okay, but I'm assuming that you're all very reasonably close together.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah. We're just in a line, sort of.
So you're
treading.
You're moving along in this way, and it's worth saying that you start to become very aware of sound, principally the sound of Velvet's voice, but also the crunch of your boots on the leaves. And, you know, you're at the part of the year where, of course, there's lots of leaves that have fallen from the trees. Not completely, though. So the canopy's still partially kept. You're getting that kind of that rustle and that crunch as you're kind of making your way along. That kind of keeps a beat as you're traveling. And Theodore, you will be the first to see there is a point at which Helena has obviously stopped up ahead.
I stop and think of the others to do the same.
So you stop, and then after a few moments, you become aware that she is walking back towards you.
I stop talking.
And as she approaches, we'll take a break. So, announcements, I suppose. Let's go to Bex first.
Oh yeah, a relationship map, because there were things to be updated. So, the first thing is the Bowman, who was on the map already because he was in one of the one-shots that we did. But I've moved him now to his rightful place near the top. So he's near Sir William and Sir Drogo. So that's where you can find him with the lovely artwork that was done. Then I've added Nikki Brooks, Barnaby's mum, and added her connection to him. I've added Braxton Collier, who is the man that Theodore was taking care of. I've attached him to Theodore because, I didn't want to leave him floating on his own on the map, and it feels like a sensible thing to do that, right? And then, very sadly, I marked Joanne as dead. So that is everything for the relationship map.
So I just want to make, on that note, quick shout out for Kirsty, who named Nikki Brooks.
Hey. Awesome.
And a quick shout out to Nat, who named Braxton Collier.
Yay.
And for when people support us, obviously, they sometimes get the option to name SPCs, but they also, depending on how much they're supporting us, get the option to get art of those SPCs or other characters that they might choose to have done. And in Nat's case, she is at a very special level, which enables you not to have a professional artist, but to have one of us draw that character for you. And she, in her wisdom, has nominated Carlos to draw. So Carlos has only just found out about this. Lucky Carlos.
Yeah.
Because obviously Braxton only appeared last time. So you will get. I don't yet know what setting, what state of health Braxton is going to be drawn in, but Carlos, up to Carlos. He will do. There is no guarantee of quality, but he will definitely draw something that may or may
make my best effort.
Have a Braxton at some point.
I'm sorry if I flubbed that up.
And I'm going to hand over to Carlos briefly.
So I wanted to say a big thank you to everybody who participated in the Blood on the Severn auditions. As we said, putting your name in the bag was all the way possible until last week, and then we ran pretty much the totality with a few exceptions of other auditions. By now, we are now in the decision process. It is a horrifying position in which I find myself because I have a lot of auditions and so many good ones. So just choose a small group of people out of those is going to be really difficult. But thank you very much. And I'm really excited for what's coming. So thank you.
Excellent. Now, I have a couple of things and then we'll go to our proper break. So the first thing to say is a while ago, those of you watching this for a while will know that we did a giveaway of the Herald's coin. And we are going to do the same again, as there is obviously a new challenge for a Herald's coin going on right now. And the way we're going to give away this is exactly the same as we did before. So if you are one of the people that supports us on Twitch or on Patreon, then you are going to be entered into the draw to win this. And if you are one of our supporters and you manage to encourage someone else to come and join us, then you will get an additional entry into the draw as well. So it's always good if you can bring your friends. And then what we will do is in episode 10, we will draw the winner for that and get off to you. And this is a bona fide Herald's coin with the oath on it and the crest of Oxfordshire. It's very cool. You definitely want it in your life. So if you're not supporting us, now's the time. And if you are, thank you. Congratulations, and hopefully you'll win. But that's not all. We're also giving away some of these awesome stickers, as we have been each week, that Cedar made for us. And if you would like to win some of those stickers, then this is going to be a wholesome week this week. So what we would like you to do, if you are watching us live, I would like you to suggest someone else who is live in chat that you think deserves these stickers.
Basically, nominate a fellow chat person.
If my words failed me, what Carlos said, nominate someone else in chat you think would like to have these stickers, and then our extremely complicated algorithm will process those results and let me know who has won for the end of the episode, and we'll announce it at the end today. So I think that is me done. So I make it about 25 to 9 for those watching live. So I'm going to say at 8:45, we are going to come back for part 2. So enjoy your sweet, sweet blood, cup of tea, whatever it is you do. And we will see you fairly shortly. Bye.
Bye.
Hello and welcome back to Season 3, Episode 9, Part 2 of Blood on the Tamesis. So we ended things with Helena approaching the coterie. And she will walk, not like right up to you, but she will walk up so that she's reasonably close to you all. And she says, "Good evening."
Evening.
Hey.
Have you made any progress? I say this, pointing my flashlight at her.
Okay.
In the very annoying way cops do. Yeah, in the very annoying way cops and
she will
guards
squint a bit when you do that. You know. She says, "Hey, little. Yes, it will be. I will know it when I see it." Says, but I was thinking that it is an historic night, and it would be strange not to at least speak with you before we go on. And,
apologies, Helena, but we have a duty to fulfill, and so do you. We can't speak afterwards.
And she smiles at you. She says, "It does not say anywhere we cannot speak. You are here to observe and
observe, not speak.
You do not wish to speak?"
No,
Well,
I do not.
Well, you know what?
And I just shoot a glance a little bit to see who dares say who wants to speak with her. It's like,
I start talking, then I get the glance, and I stop talking.
Okay, so what do you say before you see Theodore's glance?
I was saying, I don't mind talking for a little bit. Then I shut up.
And Scientist turns around and scans the opposite way.
yeah.
Okay, so you're keeping your eyes out for things.
Oh yeah.
I'm not keeping my eyes open, because that's not
We
my
need to
job.
keep our we need to stay alert.
She says, we have not really spoken before. I get the impression that you have a dislike for me.
We have
I'm
spoken
curious
before
as to why.
once, Helena. Don't you remember?
She says, I remember your words, your strong words at the court.
I asked you a question and you did not answer it. I do not wish for an answer now. Perhaps in the future. Now, time's ticking away.
It is my time to spend how I wish.
I'll say, you and I have not spoken, that is for sure, because I would have absolutely remembered it. So
Small
just
you for that.
setting the record straight.
Do you agree with what has happened with this being out here
I'll
in this
say,
place?
I agree with everything that my elders say. That's my job in life.
Of course. You are dutiful. This is good. And she turns to look at Silas, says, and I remember you from the games. Most impressive.
I roll my eyes.
Okay, when you roll your eyes,
Go on.
you have the sense, Velvet, that she clocks that, and she gives you a slightly knowing look.
So, you had the chance to congratulate me in the games. Unfortunately, you did not take me up on it. We have a task to do now. Please, can we proceed?
Very clear. Your task is to protect this man who is observing me, and he is doing that. I have a task to find the Bowman, and I will do that in my own way. So, just... I'm curious. They call you the boomkeeper of Oxfordshire.
You will not address him,
Gareth.
Helena.
The moment Theodore says that Silas closed this is back to the boonkeeper. So very, very protectively.
I will say,
He is supposed to remain impartial. No interactions of any kind. You wish to waste away your time speaking at us. Suit yourself. But he's off limits.
I'll say, come on, Helena. You know as well as I do that protection of the boonkeeper extends to you talking to him, because I am as sure as I can be that you can be a very persuasive woman when the mood takes you.
It is my preference, of course, to do things with words when I can.
It's my preference too. It's a lot better, isn't it?
She nods. Are you aware of your history of Oxfordshire?
Yep, it's great and glorious.
And
I start walking around, not too far off, just like patrolling our own little group.
sure.
Not her. What happened to her is her fault. Her.
Are you staying within earshot, but not that close? Is that kind of where you are?
Yes, and like
kind of wide-ish.
yeah, close enough to the boonkeeper that I can react immediately to anything that happens to him, but ignoring Helena as best as I can.
You're doing your best to ignore her. She says, it is true that Dorgo fought these lupines. Very impressive. It's also true that he did not do so alone. He
Yeah, there
was
was a
helped
bunch
by...
of them, as far as I'm aware.
Have you considered that if we are repeating history here tonight, that you might help me as well?
Well, of course, that is a consideration for anybody who has even an ounce of intellect. But you know what? I don't see what is in it for us. Or rather, that's not true. I do see exactly what is in it for us, but I am mindful that I stand to lose an awful lot more than I stand to gain.
She says, I do not believe you are forbidden from helping me.
And I turn back and point the flashlight again at her face. Yes, we
Okay.
are. Our task is only to protect the boonkeeper
And providing
and
you
the
do
beacon
that,
of Oxfordshire.
also...
I'll say, well, in point of fact, I don't think that's the case. I mean, legally speaking, if that's the route we're taking. we were ordered to make sure that Boonkeeper isn't harmed. So
I personally asked if we could interfere, and I was told no. In any way.
Strikes me that when we did this, we had a lot of help.
And it is important to you, Theodore, that you do what you are told and obey his rules, yes?
Helena keeps things simple.
Just then explain to me why you broke the rules of the Camarilla.
I frowned. I'll say to her, be careful what you say to him. He's the most trustworthy person that I know.
When you crossed into the domain of Reading not so long ago, you killed a man who was only doing his duty. For what?
I keep up my patrol.
Yeah, so you continue circle.
I'll say, oh, you are, you're talking about after the duel.
I'm talking about David. You met, remember him, he came to speak to your old Prince Drogo.
Oh.
And he was staked for it.
I seem to remember that. Yeah. But he's not dead, is he?
He was not until that man, she points at Theodore who's circling, and his group of people who included this man, she points at Silas, killed him.
I'll say,
or speaking to them. That is all.
Well, you know what? I was not with them on that evening, and that does not sound like Theodore to me, or Silas.
It is what he did. I saw it.
You saw it, you were there? Why didn't you step in?
She shakes her head. She says, I was not there, but I have ways to see these things.
Well, if you weren't there, you don't know any more than I do, right?
I'm making the point that there's speech of honor from Oxfordshire often when it is suitable. When it is advantageous and not when it is not. And
well, on that we can agree, at least. That is absolutely
and I'm saying that perhaps it is in your interest and mine to have an accord this night.
Well, you know what? I don't think of any use to you in this endeavor of yours. And I do not think that you will convince Silas and Theodore to help you. So I don't think, if I'm honest with you, that I'm the swinging person here, right? I'm not the person that's going to make a difference to you winning or losing. I mainly just want to go home alive. And I will consider that a night well spent.
I'm also keen to go home alive, and I will. I would say it is in your interests, all of you, to work together. Do you think this Bowman will spare you?
No, not based on what I've been told.
We shouldn't be concerning ourselves with that. Unless you are dead, of course. Isn't your duty to take care of him?
And I will do it much more easily with your assistance.
If you win and you're successful, then you become prince, right?
I imagine there are hoops to jump through, but yes.
But say you're successful. What would you do with the oath?
I imagine that if I am to be prince of that city and live for any amount of time, I will have to uphold it. But she says, I will not maintain this position of arrogance that Oxfordshire has had for such a long time. I would not sanction hunting in other people's domains.
Well, hunting is
Do you know
about
what the story between Reading and Oxfordshire?
Well,
Why?
most places seem to have history with Oxfordshire.
When Prince Drogo had a problem with one of my kindred, he did not come to me. He got on his horse with his knights, and he broke my border, and he slaughtered many kindred of many clans, and left a disgusting mess, which drew much attention from Hunters.
What do you mean? What is that?
Good question. There are those in the mortal world who know of us a little, who look for signs of us. And Drogo, your prince, came and made a great sign in my domain. Brought trouble to Reading, made everything harder. And when I sent someone to challenge him on this, he put a stake through their heart. This is the honorable Oxfordshire you're also so proud of.
I don't believe I said I was proud of it. Now you're putting words in my mouth.
I'm saying I do not see why I am judged so harshly, why there is such contention. I am just defending my people.
I'm not judging you at all, but you know as well as I do that I am in no position to tell anyone anything. So, whatever beef that you have with Oxfordshire, you're best off taking it up with the elders, because that's who tells me what to do, and until that is not the case, it is in my interest to do what they tell me. At some point, you're going to be my elder, and I'm going to do what you tell me. So,
look at the boomkeeper. Look at his mouth.
Look.
Well, I mean, he is kind of just, keeping his lips together and looking at you. So there's not a lot to see, but you will know. Actually, well, I'm trying to think if Velvet does know. Well, anyway, Helena will say, if he shows you his teeth, you will see there are some missing. They have been ripped from his mouth. He's barbaric.
It seems to be a fashion thing.
If I was your prince, I would abolish such things. And you say you are in no position to help, but if you did, and she makes a point of looking, I mean, Theodore won't really catch it very well because you're doing the circuit, but she looks in your direction and she will look at Silas. You are in a position to change things tonight. If you did, I would remember. I would give you what was in my power to do. It would allow me to give the kindred of Reading a home. Consider it. The alternative is I fight this Bowman alone, and if I fail, then you may also die. It is hardly appetizing.
No, it seems like me dying is one of the more prevalent potential outcomes of the evening.
I turn around and say, whatever made you think that I will fail what you have failed is what makes you deluded, Helena. Now, move on with your task.
She says, I ask you one last time, all of you, to consider that the actions of Oxfordshire have not been honorable for a long time, that they have been deluded. And this is a chance to put things right, a chance to do something better and to survive.
Indeed. Tonight's a night to put things right.
I'll say, I hear what you're saying.
So I should say, she is engaging you in social combat.
Yes, she is. That's fine.
So my question is, are you trying to argue with her, ignore her?
Nope.
Or are you not trying to argue with her at all? Are you agreeing with her?
No, I absolutely concede her point that that there is nothing honourable about Oxfordshire, that it basically takes its point of view and sticks to it when it wants to, because this fundamentally is something that Velvet has believed all of his own life.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So it's not. She doesn't have to argue this with him. He'll say, "You're right. You're right in all the things that you said." As to whether or not that directly translates into help, that is a thing that I need to consider.
And Silas and Theodore, where are you on this front?
I'm not going to help her, and I'm not going to engage in any conversation with her because I think that is against what I was told. Like, I remember asking very specifically, what am I allowed to do? And
sure,
I was told not
so
to.
So can you just make for me a quick resolve, and you can argue for other skills, but probably persuasion. But obviously your fortitude will apply, and also you can have an additional dice because you are kind of distanced from the whole thing. Mm-hmm. You know, you were hearing it, but you weren't really engaged in it, so it doesn't have the same kind of pull on you. I should say, however, oh, sorry, Silas, what about you?
And all Silas is going to say is that I can't help you in your task, but I can help ensure you get home safely afterwards.
Okay, she'll roll her eyes at that. So Silas, I assume you're in a similar position to Theodore. You're not arguing with her, but you're kind of just resisting what she's saying.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a resolve and persuasion.
Persuasion. Would skills like etiquette work on this front?
Yes, you could use etiquette instead if you want.
Or leadership, because I'm trying to project to the others.
Yes.
It's like, you know what?
Yeah, given the way you've rolled it, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so is it resolve or composure?
Resolve, I think. No, I think it's resolve. It's not about getting a reaction out of you. It's about changing your mind. So it's resolve.
Okay. So I'm going for resolve plus leadership plus an extra die. Do I get any bonuses for being completely detached and empty inside?
I am going to say no in this instance.
Cool.
But I like the blag. It's good blag.
I tried it.
So just to say, Velvet, you're obviously not arguing, and you're saying you agree and all that jazz. So it kind of is as it is in plain terms for you. She seems to be not lying. She seems very straight up. There is a bit of you that she seems a hell of a lot more reasonable than a lot of the other elders you've dealt with.
I mean, from my perspective, if an opportunity presents itself to help her, then I probably will. But I mean, from his perspective, he's like, I'm going to get in a fight with him.
Yeah.
I got 5 successes. 3 of those dice did not come up as successes, so I will power them. those three.
Sure. Silas?
I'll roll for it, and I'll rouse because I got so low pool here. So
Okay. It's just 5 successes on my end.
Just 5 successes. So it's worth saying that however badly I have roleplayed her in this scene, she is actually a very compelling
She's a monster, yes.
And, you know, whilst she is not at home necessarily in the woods hunting very scary kindred, she's very at home talking to people. And so Theodore, obviously you are not swayed by this argument because you're you. However, you will take 1 point of willpower damage.
Okay, half rounded up is 1.
Yeah. So because as she is speaking...
Yeah, she's just getting on my nerves or annoying.
There is something about her that is a bit wearing. Because, you know, technically there are some things where, well, maybe that wasn't strictly honourable or wasn't strictly right. There is sort of some truth in there, even though you feel very strongly about why you did the things you did. But it's enough to kind of needle you a little bit. Mm-hmm. Silas, what about you?
I got 3.
Okay, so you
nothing.
Will take 3 points of superficial, halved, so you'll take 2, basically, superficial willpower damage.
Right.
However, I assume that you were all holding your grounds and not kind of doing anything or saying anything different. And she will not pursue, you know, she has made her case. You haven't said anything. So she will, says, so be it. And seems to turn and kind of, you have a sense of her kind of gathering herself. And when she sets off, there is something different about the way she moves. You've been around enough kindred to know that there might be something kind of supernatural starting to happen. She might be stirring her blood in preparation for what might be going on.
Just to a point where as I rouse that, and I'll go hunger 2.
Okay, thank you. So the night begins to pass.
I apologize to Gareth for that. It's like, I'm really sorry, but we were told to guard you and keep you impartial.
So that's all right. That's fine.
I don't apologize to Gareth.
Okay. You continue to hear the crunch. Your lights obviously illuminate partly the woods, but it's one of those things where they really don't illuminate a lot of the woods. There's all that sense of if you're looking one way, you don't know kind of what's somewhere else, you know? And yeah, the night will begin to wear on. Theodore, you are pretty convinced that she is moving with purpose. She does not look like she knows exactly where she's going. She doesn't look familiar with these woods. But she looks like she is looking for things, and occasionally she will seem to find something or adjust her course accordingly. And she is making her way kind of deeper and deeper into these woods. And you walk for some hours.
Is that, does her patterns or movements or the things that she encounters and then moves give me any clue of what is it that she might be looking at, or...
She looks like she's paying particular attention to certain trees, and every so often she will stop by a tree and seem to examine it more closely with her light. Sometimes she seems to check some random things. Sometimes she'll seem to check the sky, like the position of the stars. But there is something very precise about the way she's doing this. And occasionally you'll encounter something and she will then radically shift her direction, seem to check the map, make some kind of calculation, and then go kind of more directly. And this goes on for a while. And you kind of get deeper and deeper into these woods. Sometimes you will, of course, hit places that are very hard to cross because of the terrain. And it's fair to say that Theodore to a lesser extent, but for the other two of you, it would not be easy to trace your way back to the vehicles at this point. You feel a little bit lost. It's not, not that you couldn't find your way back, but it wouldn't be easy.
This does cause me to talk a lot less.
Okay, interesting. Gareth also is talking like he's more reacting. You've been carrying the conversation for a while.
But I'm in general, I'm kind of have like a low level internal grumble about how awful this all is. But also I'm terrified, and that's not a real conversation maker. So
assuming that no one else is kind of doing anything too radical, there will come a point, so let's see, you would have left probably about 8 o'clock, no, probably 7:30. So let's say 9:30, 10. So it's probably around 1 in the morning-ish when Gareth will grip your arm all of a sudden, Velvet.
grip it.
Yeah, like grip it like a
I thought you said rip it. I was like, that's a very different response.
No, he does not rip it.
Okay.
He has a grip that is not dissimilar to Velvet's grip in terms of
fine. Okay.
But
So
he will clutch at it nevertheless.
I will. Well, I'll turn to him, and I'll say, I'll try and keep my voice low, but I'll say,
Yeah.
Is everything all right? Did you see something?
Did you? No, I didn't see something. I felt something. Do you not feel that like you're being watched by something? It's malevolent.
I mean, do I feel this?
That's up to you.
Okay. Okay.
I take that as my cue to sort of stop, let Helena do her stuff, and take a look around.
I'll say, well, I don't feel anything in particular. Where's Helena at this point?
She's still walking on ahead.
I'll call out to her.
What are you going to say?
I'll say, Helena.
She will stop.
Did you miss
And
something
the
back
light
here?
will kind of flick back in your direction.
I'll say, did you miss something back here?
You'll hear the crunch of leaves as she makes her way back.
I'll say, our boomkeeper is telling me that he doesn't feel safe. And that suggests to me that, I don't know what your method for tracking this is, but it suggests to me that that might be the case. Did you miss something?
Frowns.
He says he feels like something is watching us. And I can't say as I feel like that, but I don't know how this sort of thing works.
She'll torch to her other hand and she'll pull the long dagger out from its sheath. And we'll look around. She'll sweep her torch like around,
say,
kind of in the.
Do you feel this? Do any of you feel this? This malevolent thing watching us?
I have felt watched for a long time, but not by anything other than you.
All right, well, I don't know. Maybe it's nothing, but I don't have any reason to see why Gareth would make this up.
She turns the torch on him and says, "You are Malkavian, no?" And he says, that's right, yes. She looks more troubled and then goes back to what she was doing.
Cool. As
in, she'll turn back to her original path and continue to walk.
Okay. I'll say to Gareth, could you pinpoint where you think this is? If you focused on it. Or is it all around?
Right, it's sort of here, really, in my chest. I feel it in my chest as if it's a pressure. Helena says something. Probably Theodore, you're the only one who can pick it up. Are you trying to hear what she says, or are you not bothered?
Yeah, I have all my senses open, so whatever he said, I will catch it.
You hear her say, "My Malkavian is more specific."
Come, Gareth. And I start taking him in the direction Helena is going.
Okay.
let me know if that pressure in your chest relents at some point.
So as you're going, Gareth does not let go of your arm, Velvet, unless you're forcing him to.
No, I'll walk with him.
Yeah, and I'm right next to him. Like right now, probably the three of us are making like a really tight group around him.
Whilst we're doing this, I remember that I told Adam that I wasn't going to be a hero, so I have this at the forefront of my mind.
Yes, he may not approve of this current scenario. You're aware. He will be kind of clutching your arm increasingly tightly, Velvet, and he's getting more and more agitated. And he keeps looking around like he's expecting to see something.
I'll say, Theodore, we need to stop. Gareth, is this getting worse?
So he nods. Says, it's getting tighter in my chest.
We start working towards Helena. So if something jumps, Helena is next to us. I'm not above putting her in the middle.
So, yeah, go on, Velvet.
I'll ask him. I'll ask Gareth if I can put my hand against his chest, wherever he's describing this tightness. I want to see if I can feel it as an external thing. That. Right. So, do I feel anything differently? Like, is there anything I can sense?
Are you just feeling like the outside of his clothes, or are you trying to get your hand?
Yeah, to start with, I'm not. Yeah.
So, no, you feel a cold jacket and nothing more. There is no supernatural weirdness. There is no other stuff you feel. It is seemingly nothing. Up ahead, you'll hear Helena make some noise of sort of satisfaction, but without much enthusiasm behind it.
We're approaching her either way.
So you will see her light is now shining on. It looks like a kind of a rock, a large rock that is kind of mostly overgrown with things, but she seems to consult some paper that she's got, nods to herself, puts the paper away, and then approaches the rock. She's going much more carefully now. She's not just walking up to it. She's moving like someone she's shining her light on it, and she has her weapon ready, and she looks like someone who's expecting trouble. And
I take out my gun.
All right.
I open up the bag and put my hand in it to look for the tracer clip and put it in my pocket. Yeah. Leave the bag open.
Okay. So the tracer clip is in your pocket. Silas, you see Velvet take out his gun and look pretty cool with it.
And even though he looks the clothes he's wearing, yep.
I take a moment to consider how hot I look in this on a scale of 1 to 10.
I mean, you suspect you look pretty hot right now, particularly in the poor light, because it will just be the silhouette, so you'll get away with some of the clothing stuff.
But I think Silas at this point looks more the badass.
It's worth noting that Helena kind of explores the rock, and then after a while she will look like she's trying to clear something away from it. Theodore, what is your resolve and survival pool halved?
Oh, that is probably 2. I'm checking.
Cool.
Resolve.
Now that you're very alert and you're thinking
2.
You will see, because obviously there's lots of big piles of leaves and stuff that have been over a lot of the forest. But because Helena has been tramping through it, and you're kind of checking, and also because we're getting to a slightly rockier place where there are less trees dropping leaves overhead, you will see the signs of some of the mud has been disturbed here in a way that doesn't look like just animal tracks or something like that. It looks like something bigger has been moved over this surface, like dragged, perhaps. Kind of relatively recently.
Okay. I say nothing.
You say nothing. After a while, Helena will seem to uncover that some of this overhanging leaves and vines and things over the rock partially conceal that one side of the rock is flush with the ground. You could, if you crouched down or bent over, you could kind of stoop and go underneath and even into what looks like some kind of natural forming cave. And Helena uncovers this hole. She does not immediately go into it. A few seconds go by. She seems to be listening. She is not shining her light straight into this hole, I should say.
I'll make sure that
pointing her torch kind of away from it.
I'll make sure that wherever Gareth and I are, it's not directly opposite the entrance to this hole, but also that wherever Theodore is, I kind of want to put Gareth between he and I, so that nobody can jump him from behind.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Theodore, how close to Helena are you getting, or are you staying away from the entrance to the cave?
No, actually, I'm staying closer to Gareth than to Helena. So it's a few meters, like 4 or 5 meters, because I assume that's the distance I need to see that there's a cave, but enough that I'm not near the entrance or her.
Okay. It could be your imagination, but it might be there is some kind of noise coming from the cave, but it's not very loud. But there's something. You think Helena has heard it too. But after a few moments, she'll turn back to you all and gives you a look as if to say, this is it now.
Good luck.
I'll say, what are you planning to do?
She says, I'm planning to go in there, and if sorry, she'll lower her voice. She says, if he is in there, I will dispatch him, and then I will ask Silas if I might borrow his sword to remove the head.
All right.
I would say that this is, you wish to be part of history, this is your chance.
You're seriously going into the cave? Fighting his territory? And I smirk.
She says, would you rather I set up a tent and waited here?
I will say,
Could draw him out. Maybe talk to him and convince him to help you.
I'll say,
She will narrow her eyes at that.
I'll say to her, what do you estimate are your chances of success?
I prefer not to think about it.
Oh, that is not a good answer. I understand your point, Helena, I do, and I there is a part of me that wants to help you, but I promised someone that I would come back alive. And if you don't think about what your chances are, that means you don't rate them. And that means I'm less likely to hold true to my word.
She will shrug her shoulders. Make peace with it how you will. Then she will turn and she'll go over to the rock.
And I start walking because Gareth has to be able to see what's happening.
I'll go after her to wherever looks like she's gonna go in.
Yeah.
Try and and I will say, I'll whisper. Do you think that we can get in there without him knowing that we're coming?
You saying that to Helena or to Gareth?
Yeah. To Helena.
She says, it is hard to know what is left of the Bowman now. He is a monster. Perhaps he is sharp and deadly, perhaps he is not.
He knows we're here.
Okay, in which case I will, I'll say, well, then we shouldn't give him any more time to prepare.
Agreed.
So Helena will quite fluidly kind of duck down and under inside the rock.
I'll
I take point and follow her behind her. I would ask probably Velvet to be behind me, then Gareth, and last but not least Silas, or probably the other way around. However, Velvet feels. But Theodore, I wouldn't want. Yes.
You duck down to follow, and then Velvet, as you and Gareth are approaching the cave, Gareth says, "I'm not sure about this. We're going in there. That seems like death to me."
Well, aren't you supposed to witness what she does?
I mean, if she kills him, can't I look at the head afterwards?
I'll say, you know what, that seems reasonable to me.
If no one is following me, I turn around and go, "What happened? Come on."
And Sasha just kind of put a hand on like, let's get this over with. Come on.
So I'll say to Theodore, Gareth doesn't want to go in here. Why should he? He doesn't want to die. I mean, and besides, he's right? If she comes out with
I don't want to die.
Neither do I. And if she comes out with the head, then it's sort of job done, right?
Yeah, well, she seemed to know where he was. What makes you think that she didn't plant other people to help her in this task? And
well, then we doubly don't need to go in there. They'll all already be there waiting, right?
She's supposed to do this on her own. I will not have this conversation come. And I look at Gareth with that look that says, "I'm not going to argue. Follow."
I'll
Okay, social combat on Gareth.
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Theodore.
I'm the social combat on Theodore.
Cool.
My job is to protect Gareth, and the best way to protect him is not to have him walk into the cave of death. It's to have him wait outside.
So I think, Theodore, you are making a charisma and leadership roll because you're trying to take charge of the situation, unless you wish it to be an intimidate.
Nope, it's
but I'm assuming you want it to be a leadership.
Yeah.
And Velvet, you are making... is this a leadership challenge? That is the question.
Well, from his perspective, it's not. His perspective is just a persuasion of, he's not trying to take over leadership. He's trying to say, Gareth is safe.
I will allow you to use persuasion and charisma. Now, are either of you using any disciplines I should be aware of?
No.
Okay.
But I will browse for this.
Okay.
I will not.
So Gareth is going to give you one extra dice, Velvet.
Okay.
Because he doesn't want to go in the cave.
Excellent. Okay.
Do I get a dice for Silas, who's hitting my...
Yeah, Silas is trying to push some...
Silas is panicking. Just get this fuck over with.
What's your persuasion, Silas?
1.
Okay, one extra die from Silas.
Got it.
So obviously, if you don't announce your result until you've decided whether you're spending willpower, etc., 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 and then just tell us what.
Well, I was not going to spend willpower either way.
Sure.
No, I don't think I am either. But I think I've got, is it 4 successes? Critical win?
No critical win, but 4 successes.
Okay.
I got just 3.
Okay. So it is a tie. So you will both take a point of superficial.
I got 3, she got 4.
Oh, sorry. In that case.
She doesn't, the Velvet doesn't get any superficial.
Yeah.
I relent.
You relent.
I go, fine, I'll go on my own. And I just turn and see, and then follow.
Okay. So Theo, you are going into the cave.
And Silas is going to say, listen, just unfollows.
No. Keep him safe, Silas. Keep him
why
safe.
are you going in the cave?
All right.
Safer out here.
So Silas, you're staying outside with the others.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Let me go to Theodore for a moment. Theodore, you make your way. So it's very low at first, and then it gets a little bit higher. Not very high. You can't stand up fully straight. It smells of old blood here. It smells like some kind of old abattoir in this cave. It's not huge. Doesn't take Helena's torch long to pick out the details of what is in this cave. And that is actually very little. There's no... Whoever or whatever has stayed here, there's very little sign of it. You know, there are a few bones and a few bits of old tattered fabric, but that's about it in terms of decoration or home improvement. The main thing, though, that will catch your eye is against the back wall of this kind of low rocky space is what looks like a coffin. And that there is a length of old chain that is wrapped around the coffin that keeps the lid on it. Okay. And the noise you thought you could hear was there is something in the coffin that is moving and knocking against it from the inside.
I look at Helena, see what she's done.
She doesn't approach the coffin immediately. She looks like she's examining the rest of the cave to see. You can see her torch, like where there's little kind of crevices in the rock. She looks like she's checking to see if there are any other ways or spaces for someone to be. Velvet and Silas, can you make for me wits and awareness rolls? So Helena will, once she's done that examination, begin to approach the box, the coffin. The lid is not secured to the coffin apart from the chain, but it's not like nailed in place or anything. Or at least as you get closer, you will see that there are some very old nails, but it's not very secure.
I got 3.
So 3 from Silas, and how many from Velvet?
1.
Excellent. All right. So Helena will stop by this coffin for a while, and you can hear, like I say, there's something in there. Definitely, you would guess a person is in there. And they're kind of thrashing, but not violently, or not wildly. It's kind of, but it's semi-constant. And you can see the lid move, jostle under the torch. She will approach it, but she's not. She keeps kind of looking back over her shoulder, looking around like she's expecting something. But after a while, will put the torch under one arm, still holding her knife, and start to bend back some of the wood on the lid of the coffin. So one kind of corner of it, which will catch on the chain, but eventually will bend and snap because it's quite old. And it will create like a window in. And you will see the movement, because she's shining her torch obviously there. And the thing reacts immediately to the light and kind of hisses. But you see what is clearly some kind of canite in this coffin. Very pale, very kind of sunken cheeks, lank hair. Male, you'd think, probably late 30s. And they snap and kind of thrash. You think, Theodore, they are in some kind of hunger frenzy, but maybe they've been in it for a long time. And now that there is a gap, they become more kind of obsessed and start trying to reach for it to try and widen it and fight with it. Silas, a little bit away from where you're standing, but on the opposite side of the rock entrance, you make out of the corner of your eye something rising out of the ground. Just from the earth, just kind of.
I yell back in the cave,
Right.
trouble!
So you have time to yell trouble.
And just ready.
So you will all hear Silas's shout in the night. What are you going to do?
I run to the entrance of the cave.
So Theo, you will be running to the entrance of the cave. Helena will also be running behind you.
Can I?
Obviously, she's deeper in the cave than you.
Velvet,
yes.
Can I see? So he's obviously said trouble, which is, requisitely helpful statement because I haven't seen this. Right. So do I know where the direction of trouble is coming from?
Probably where Silas is racing.
Looking now, bracing as moving.
You will be able to realise. It's fair to say you will be a little bit slower on the uptake, but yes, you will clock this silhouette just seeming to rise out of the ground itself.
Okay, well then I take my gun and I fire all the bullets that are in it into the thing that's rising out of the ground.
It's fair to say that some stuff will happen before you do that.
Yeah.
But we will resolve that in a minute. Silas, what is your action?
That is if this thing comes, I swing with every, and I'm also going to activate prowess.
Sure.
So I'll rouse for that. Yep, and I'm still under two.
Now you're holding a two-handed sword, is that correct?
Yep. So
you're holding it ready to swing. So
light drops. Light just drops.
Cool. So you drop the light. You take this position ready to swing. Velvet, you are whirling around in a kind of. You've got your gun and you're whirling around to point at this figure. Before you shoot, however, but you might as well roll, Velvet.
Are you sure? I mean, I don't know I don't know whether I even know there's a safety to take off or anything. So
it's a composure and firearms roll.
Okay, I'll do that.
If you don't have firearms, then it's a composure.
Excellent. Well, of course, I don't have firearms.
Silas, you are standing in a position of no cover with your sword drawn. You can only just about make out this silhouette. You are aware in your mind. Do you have rapid reflexes, by the way?
Nope, I've got no celerity.
Excellent. So you are aware that the silhouette does move, but it moves so fast you don't really track it. But the next thing you know, there is an arrow that has shot you in the hand and shot the sword out of your hands. And you take 10 points. No, not 10, sorry. That's a lie. It's going to be reduced. It's going to be 8 points of superficial halved down to 4.
I can't even dodge that coming in.
Nope.
Can't even try and dodge it. Nope.
No, if you don't have rapid reflexes allows you to do it.
It allows you to dodge. And it's fair to say this happens extremely fast. So what happens is the arrow basically goes through your hands. It goes straight through one of them and is now stuck in the other one, and your sword is knocked spinning out of your hands. Hold on a second. So that is what happens there. Velvet, what did you get on your...
I got 1 because I look awesomely cool today.
Just like...
okay, so you fire off, and the shots are extremely loud in the night.
I'm not expecting this, so it distressed me.
It could be your imagination, because obviously there's very poor lighting on this figure. But you think you might have actually hit them. However, they make no distinguishable sound.
Okay, fine.
Gareth,
plus 3 damage
behind you. I've got it, don't worry.
Okay.
Gareth cowers behind you. So, we've resolved ranged combat. Silas, you can now take an action.
Silas has some javelins on his back, so he's going to pull one and throw it.
Sure. So if you would like to make a roll.
I think that's strength and athletics.
Yep.
So that is...
You are, however, at -3 dice. because you can't see him very well, and he does have partial cover.
So that's then 2. 2. Because that. Yep. Okay, that's 2 successes.
2 successes. What's the damage to that?
The javelin. I don't know if there's any bonuses to the javelin.
Yes, I think it's a plus 2.
Plus 2, I would think. So let's say 4 down to 2. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. You throw your javelin. You think you hit him.
Yeah, and then
You're good at throwing javelins. You've thrown them in the past.
I'm going to. I would like to rouse to heal a bit.
So yeah, you can rouse to heal. So, Albert, you've fired your gun. Silas, you've thrown a javelin.
I am running outside.
Theodore, you are running out of the cave. So, as our second round begins, Theodore, you will emerge from the cave. You don't really. It's very hard for you. You know vaguely where he is, but he is little more than a silhouette.
I will see clearly where he is. I will close my eyes. Remember Melior's teachings.
Yeah.
And activate Oblivion's sight.
So, when you do this, you have many memories of being told to look into the dark. And of course, ultimately, after a while, you learn that there are things in the dark you can see. And this is a lesser form of darkness. And when you call the oblivion to your eyes, the night is thrown back for you. And you can see as clearly as if it was day, although without the vibrant colours of such a thing.
Or the burning.
Or the burning, which is nice. Nice bonus. What do you intend to do?
Me? I intend. I actually signal the others, I think Silas stop and go towards Gareth. I'm gonna sort of protect and shield Gareth, because whatever he's attacking, Helena is the person that needs to deal with it. So it's basically the three of us retreat into cover.
So as you're kind of moving and saying, hey...
Basically, leadership to get everybody rounded, tactic, defensive, let's hide behind the stone, the rocks.
Okay, so as you're trying to kind of pull people back into cover, you will see Theodore very clearly, but the others of you slightly less so. So I should say, by the way, now, Theodore, you can see a man who... He's actually not that tall, by kind of modern standards. Mm-hmm. And there is something kind of lumpy about him. He looks like a man who has lived outdoors a lot, who's had a very hard kind of existence. You can see scars on his face. His hair is vaguely brought into some form of order by, you think, maybe a knife, but not with much love or care. There is... What you are looking at is something, you have tasted blood that is devoid of emotion. This figure is not devoid of emotion, but he is devoid of compassion. He looks at you, there is a slightly empty look or calculating look in his eye, like someone would weigh up a prized piece of meat, and that is it. There is also a very thinly veiled sense of rage pouring off this man.
Okay.
And Velvet, you will feel that very palpably. But it's not like he's in frenzy. It's just like there's like a paper-thin covering between where he is now and him just unleashing. And as you lock eyes on him, Theodore, and you're trying to pull people to cover, and as Helena begins to come out from the cave, he spins back behind one of the nearby trees, out of your immediate line of vision.
I use that opening to find cover for the four of us behind.
So where are you? Are you going like into the cave? You just going to go like behind the rock? Where are you going?
No, I think we're going to go around and behind the rock.
Okay.
As I don't take my eyes off that area.
So you're watching that area. He hasn't yet come out again. Helena,
I call the darkness. Basically, there's plenty of shadows. I just add mine to the combo.
Okay. There is a lot of darkness around here. It's easy for you to manifest your own shadow here.
I will shout to Helena that he's moving really quickly, like much quicker than I imagine it was possible or is possible. Because that's the way I think I can help her at this point in time. But I don't know where he is.
Okay.
I roused for my Oblivion power for Shadow Cast. Failed on the first one, but re-rolled because of blood potency and got a pass. And no stains.
Okay.
No stains. So I don't go hungry.
Yeah, there is always a danger that when you pull on the darkness, it might pull back and you might lose some of yourself to it.
Yeah,
but yes, your shadow comes easily, more easily than normal. You feel it there, waiting to be used as you see fit. Obviously, the two of you will not see this because it's so dark around you. But it might just feel, I mean, obviously, there are lots of things to attribute this to, but the air will feel that little bit more chill. A shiver will run down your spine.
What's Gareth's response?
You begin. Gareth is just about not panicking.
Okay.
He has resumed. He's like I say, he's using you as a shield, Velvet. He's hiding behind you. Every time your gun fired, he would have flinched. You'd have felt it behind him.
So I've felt the something about the air around us is colder or
just
dark.
The atmosphere suddenly you just feel that chill run down your spine.
Okay, then I'll call that out to Helena as well.
Okay.
Silas has Theo's point where he's going to grab it. If he can, he's going to grab the sword.
Well, the sword has fallen on the ground. You can collect your light and look for it and go and get it if you want.
No. And I'll grab. Yeah, it's
like I'm just pulling people and getting my shadows.
I'm absolutely doing what Theo says. But I'm telling her whatever I think I've discovered about what he's doing, which is so far
calling out these things to Helena. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And Silas.
Yeah, Silas is going about drawing out the spare blade.
Yeah.
And just.
Could you all make for me a wits and awareness roll? If you're Theodore, you make it normally, and if you're not Theodore, you're going to make it at -2 because of the darkness.
If I put minus into this modifier, does it work properly?
Yes.
Okay.
I got 1.
Okay.
Oh, -2. I don't get to roll anything. So
that's fine. You just fail. That's. Well, no, you always roll 1 dice, but it's irrelevant in this case. So it's fine.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna willpower. Do I really want to willpower this?
It's up to you.
I think I will willpower this.
Okay. So you've been moving as a group kind of around the other side of this rocky cave to put some of it between you and the Bowman.
5 successes, critical win.
Interesting. Very interesting result.
The reason of the reroll is because I rolled 4 dice, only got 1 success, but it was a 10. So I had 3 dice that I could roll, in theory, to get a second 10. So it happened. So I got 5 successes, critical win.
Okay. So here's what happens. Elena is approaching the place where he was last seen. She's not walking right up to it. She's kind of skirting around, looking like she's getting ready to try and attack. She's got her flashlight out. You are all moving, as I say, around the rock, and you're obviously staying vigilant. Gareth is The thing that you will probably notice, because you're all straining to listen after a while, is Gareth is not making a sound as he moves. The leaves do not crunch beneath his feet. And Silas, I think you're probably the furthest away from the group because you'd moved forward originally. You are finding it quite... When you look around, you don't see Gareth anymore at all. Theodore, you can see him.
Yeah, because
you're standing behind him at the moment.
I probably have my hand in his shoulder because I cannot lose. If I have to look around, I have to keep in my check.
But Silas, you're pretty sure that he's hiding behind Velvet. That's what you're kind of imagining is. But you can't see him, just for your reference. You will occasionally see the flicker of Helena's light as it's moving kind of out in that space. But of course, because you put the rock between you and her and where the Bowman was, you can't see exactly what is happening. Gareth is not making any suggestion that he should be going to see what is happening, just so as you know.
Yeah. I am sort of peeking from time to time to see where Silas, where is her.
You will see the moment where Helena walks around the tree to where he might be. And nothing seems to dramatically happen. And then she seems to be moving around. It's getting harder to see her because of the trees that are between you and her. But there is one moment which catches Theodore's attention, and that is that she seems to study the tree where he was. And then you see her torchlight starting to go up. And at that point, you look up. And that is the point where you see something dropping from the branches nearby where your heads are. I mean, not on your head level, but above you. There is something, you realize, Theodore, in the branches above you. And it is coming down around the point that you, around the point that you notice it, because you tied with his stealth.
Okay, so I get the chance of an action?
You get the chance to act as he's coming down. Yes.
Okay. I summon an arm of the Ahriman and flung when he's in the air and has no leverage on the ground, swing him towards Helena. Like I grapple him and throw him to Helena with a shadow attack.
So,
like, sorry, but fucks the subtlety at this point.
Okay.
My apologies for my language as well.
So there is a moment where it's like far, far too late. Velvet and Silas, you realize. So Theodore, if you can make your roll for me, and I will make the roll for the Bowman. Far too late, you realize Theodore is suddenly looking up. Far too late, you hear that last telltale rustle of some leaves as something comes dropping down towards you. In the kind of flickering flashlights that you're shining. Sorry, Theodore, how many did you get?
Well, I haven't rolled because I need to know if I get bonuses from... I'm going to rouse.
Yeah. Add an extra die. Add an extra die for your blood bonus.
Okay, and I'm going to rouse. So it would be... And I'm going to willpower it. Just in case, before I roll, just to say it.
Okay.
Well, it is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 successes critical win before I even start re-rolling. So I don't think I'm going to re-roll because I only have I do have 3 dice that didn't come out as successes. But I wish...
Do you want to roll them?
No. Let me do my rouse checks and my stuff. Re-rolling for my discipline.
Here is what happens.
Don't be a 1 or a 10. Please don't be a 1 out of 10. Please don't win.
You have this moment where you realize too late Theodore is looking up. And of course, you also naturally look up at the point where that happens. And in the kind of...
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. And in the kind of like panicked upswing of your flashlight, Velvet, you catch this silhouetted figure coming bearing down Now, it could be your imagination, Velvet, but you think on you specifically.
Yep.
You catch this. What's weird as well is like one of his arms seems slightly kind of thicker than the other. There is something just wildly unpleasant about him on nearly every level you can think of.
Everything about this is wildly unpleasant.
You catch what also looks like there is something about his fingers. They seem too long to you and too pointed in the way they end, as they are coming down, stretching out towards what you imagine to be your face.
Yep.
Silas, should you survive to talk about this with Velvet afterwards, you are convinced that it is your face that they are coming down towards. Theodore, you are convinced he is coming down for you. You see those fingers stretching down towards you. However, you have seen him. And whilst the darkness is thrown back for you, it is not for him. And through, again, this torchlight, there is a moment where the light, which is catching him in this moment, is kind of cut through by lines of darkness that snare him, that grapple around his body. And inches from your faces, he stops in the air for less than a heartbeat. And then he is flung across the space. And not just like half a meter. He is flung bodily through the air to slam into the ground and go rolling heavily into the space, very, very close. I mean, in fact, it's not that far from bowling Helena over. It's only that she's standing by the tree that stops her from being knocked over completely.
I was going for a strike.
Quite shocked by this.
Well, I just hide the arm in the shadows, but now it's there for the scene. So
yeah, the shadows coil back, ready for your next command. I should add, there is something in the nature of this darkness for the two of you that chills you, and Velvet and Silas, you immediately feel that thing that made you feel so unsettled is this.
And Silas has a flashback.
And Silas will have flashbacks, yes. One other thing to say though, because we're cruising at the end of the session. So what happens is this. Helena acts very quickly. And what she does is she puts one hand against the back of her knife and she will dive forward and try and slam it into the neck of the bowman. As she is doing this, the bowman, with what looks to you perhaps like faster reflexes, brings his hand up towards her. And as her knife connects with his neck and his hands seem to punch through her chest, we will pause session 9.
Great cliffhanger. I love it.
Now, I know that people watching along are saying, like, this is cool and all that. But the important thing is, did I win a sticker? I mean, that's probably, that is what I imagine you are all wondering about, right?
Yeah, who won the sticker? Now, that is just as good as a cliffhanger as the one that we just had.
Exactly.
I mean, quality entertainment. Quality entertainment.
We will definitely resolve it this week. So what basically has happened is this has been a wholesome week. So people have been nominating other people they feel should get it. And I have to say, chat, you're never wrong, really, because this is definitely one of those times I feel this is appropriate. So this week's winner is Amis Unbalanced, aka
Yay!
Hooray! Congratulations.
Let's get the shit out of us.
You can let us know where you would like us to send those. We will get them on their way to you as soon as possible. So yes, that brings us to the end. I would say, don't forget, if you want to win the Herald's Coin, very swanky, do come support us before next week to have a chance for that, which will be, of course, the final episode of Blood on the Tamesis. I want to say a big thank you to my lovely players, as ever, for being fabulous.
Thank you to our storyteller.
Yep.
Thank you.
This is another Mitch Appreciation Week. You may feel it's always Mitch Appreciation Week. Yes, it should be.
It should
He's a
be.
lovely, lovely man.
Go, Mitch.
So thank you for all of your help and on all of the plotting behind the scenes as ever. And thank you to you, audience, for watching. Always a pleasure. You are the best of all humans. And we look forward to seeing you all next time. So take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.